everybody. Welcome to Real Horror. Tonight, we're talking about Hannibal Season 2, Episodes 8 and 9. And joining me tonight, as usual for these streams, is Vinny. How you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. Tonight's episodes are really, really wild. The cliffhangers for the next episode again. These they keep getting us. Like I'm itching to watch the rest of them, but I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm doing good here.
I know. These episodes were fantastic.
They really are.
And yeah, I didn't remember, like this whole season so far. I
Mhm.
didn't remember any of this storyline at all. Of
Yes.
these.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say some of the visuals I do remember. Like as they kind of popped up, I'm like, oh yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. Like there's this one part where he steps in the barn. I was like, that looks familiar, but that's
Mhm.
all I could remember.
Yeah. And then there's
Um,
that beast thing. Like
mm,
there's a few things like I remember pieces of these visuals here and there. But like again, not the entire episodes, just chunks.
mm-hmm.
But that's why like it feels like it's very new, but yet just slightly familiar.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, these and it's in these two episodes, so we get like kind of a it's a little bit of a like they're different because the rest like the prior episodes have all been just focused on like Will, getting back into the field and like his struggles with Hannibal.
Hmm.
And with these two episodes we get something new in the story.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that did make it interesting.
it did. It feels almost like a little bit of how Hannibal treats some of his other patients, but
Yes.
like that manipulation is kind of sort of working now, but
Yep.
there's something else there. It's not as cut and dry as like all of his other patients, but you could see
Yep.
he has the same type of intrigue that he has, like because he's toying with the other ones, but
Hmm.
Will kind of still gives him challenges, which is like the difference I think between Will and his other patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the
Yeah, definitely.
because it's not even because we've seen characters that are like they think they're on the same level as him,
Hmm.
but Will never comes off like that. Like he has his own type of intelligence, but
Yeah.
they're never having a pissing contest with who's smarter type of thing.
Yes, that's true.
But
That's true.
yeah, that's what I think is maybe that's what like Hannibal's kind of like he's getting off on a bit too because there's
Mhm.
like a sort of mutual respect going on, and well, I think by the ninth episode we see that even stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when we get to it, but it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy good.
Yeah, definitely. Like cuz yeah, these episodes are cool because yeah, like you said, so okay, so yeah, we get a like something we get something new, like some new story introduced, and
Mhm.
then also like the whole thing with Will and Hannibal um is is still evolving. And um like we really see a lot happening with Will.
Mhm.
um and it's fascinating seeing it play out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially one of the killers in episode 8, which again, really good actor. I believe he was the one who played Mo in the Three Stooges movie that the Farley brothers did.
oh, I didn't see that,
Oh, okay.
but he did look familiar to me.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things.
mm,
Um, if you ever saw that Silicon Valley show, he was in that.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, he was like the business tycoon guy in like like the black Lamborghini. Um, but yeah, he's like a master impressionist too. That guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does like some comedy stuff too, and yeah, he's very talented.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense because yeah, I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah, boy, he played creepy excellent in this too.
Yes.
when they brought
Yeah.
him into the interrogation room, and we kind of seeing like Alana using her skills and stuff too. Like I like these 2 episodes are good. A
Yeah.
whole lot of story and a whole lot going on.
Yeah. Very, very much. They were a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll just jump right into it. And so season 8 starts off. Jack and Will are out ice fishing,
Mhm.
and Jack is kind of like talking about how I like the outdoors, but I'd prefer it in the summer, and
Mhm.
they're bonding, which is
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they kind of have a conversation about how, because they're fishing for trout, and they're having a conversation about how it's really hard to catch trout in the winter. And you can see the parallel in what they're talking about with the trout and everything too, how like Will trying to catch Hannibal.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
you can substitute the trout for Hannibal.
You could.
Um,
It's interesting too because it's almost like we get a little bit of Jack, who it sounds like he's kind of on his side at this point, but throughout
mhm.
the other, this episode and the next, um, I can't remember if they're attempting to play Hannibal or Jack is really like like let it go kind of thing.
Yeah, it's I understand what you mean,
Mhm.
because I got the same feeling. I was like, okay, cool. So Jack is like, he's on Will's side and everything is good, but then some of the things he says, it's like, wait, what do you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's
I,
like,
I'm trying to think because I think most of the things that he says like that,
mhm.
I think is in front of Hannibal. So if that is the case, maybe it is a big play on him right now.
Yeah, he could be just in like fact finding mode. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
keeping his
yeah.
um
They're keeping Hannibal in the dark. They're
yeah,
kind of putting up a show for him, but not making it obvious.
yep.
I think that's the kind of what we're seeing. Like I said, I don't remember every detail, but
Mhm.
like it makes sense, especially from what we saw in the opening. So, um,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like Jack also it tries to be impartial.
Mhm.
Like he feels I my impression is that he believes Will, but he
Mhm.
also like requires a little more evidence than Will can provide, as
Right.
far as,
Hmm.
with Hannibal.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of in a precarious situation.
I think so. But I
Hmm.
mean, the thing is to how 9 ends kind of throws that theory away. Like, because I'm seeing
Yeah.
it throughout 8, it makes sense. But then it's that very specific thing that happens at the end of 9. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We'll have
Yep.
to put a pin in that for a little bit later after we get to the end of that one.
Yep. We'll definitely get to that. And yeah, so yeah, they're talking about how to catch a trout in the winter, and Will's talking about how you got to incite the predator instinct and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And yeah, so it's an analogy. You can tell it's an analogy.
Hmm.
And then the next thing we see is Hannibal is preparing the fish that Will or Jack, either one, both
Hmm.
caught while they were fishing. He's preparing that for Will and Jack. And so yeah, he brings out the dish, and he starts talking about you know how, like, how beautiful they, well, actually I can't remember who it was, but they're like, oh, this is a beautiful fish. And then Will is like, yeah, I thought it was my turn to provide the meat. And
Oh
so
yeah.
he's kind of like, what do you call it, like goading Hannibal in a way.
Hmm. Yeah.
and so Hannibal kind of lets that slide for a second. And they're talking about how trout is like a Nietzschean fish, all the its wild existence and everything. It like has a hard life, so it makes the flesh more flavorful.
Hmm.
And and he says to Will, um, I hope that quip about the that it was your turn to provide the meat doesn't mean that you still, have doubts about what I serve at my table.
Right.
And it's like it's a funny exchange, like it's amusing to watch.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
yeah. And so then they're like talking about how well, Hannibal's like, we need to move past the apologies and forgiveness and all of that. Like, he wants to put everything aside and just move forward. and and then he starts talking about how Chilton has, left many victims, besides just the dead, and talking about how, so he's like playing it off that Chilton was a Chesapeake Ripper, and he has more
Hmm.
victims than just the, people that he killed. Like, the victims are sitting at the table right now, and it's like
Right.
it's just a bunch of bull crap.
Hmm.
And yeah, and he says like this experience of them eating together will, like, change us and stuff like that. And he says that the Hannibal goes, we're all Nietzschean fish in that regard. And then Will goes, yeah, it makes us tastier that way. And like, that was amazing. I loved how he said that.
Yeah, that was good.
It was like, yeah.
Didn't Jack give him a look too when he said that?
Yeah. Both Hannibal and Jack are both looking at him like for different reasons, but
Hmm.
like, it was just awesome. Like, I was like, yeah, go Will.
Yeah, I like that guy. Him and what's his name? The one who played Daredevil. They have a very similar way of like how they deliver their lines and stuff.
Yeah, that who was it? Who is the actor that does Daredevil?
Uh, Charlie Cox.
Yeah, that's right. He's awesome.
I could almost see them like their roles could be intermixed. Like I think one could play the other character quite easily.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Yep.
I yeah, like the same kind of sensibility, but I do believe they're both British, both
Oh,
actors.
really?
Yeah, so I think that could be part of it too. But yeah, his delivery's always been fantastic on this series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that cat and mouse shit that they're doing is really good.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Like, I love how, it, especially like with the all of season one, we just see Will kind of just being the mouse the entire time.
Yeah,
And it's just nice to finally see him not, just kind of come into his own and give it right back to Hannibal
yep.
for a change. It's
Mm.
it's nice. It's kind of like like, no, you don't have all this power over me anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really good. But at the same
Mhm.
time too, like because we know how fearless and insane Hannibal is, so it's like,
Mhm.
but there is something else there, that kind of weird respect, that thing that Will that he's still studying and trying to figure out.
Yep. Yep.
Like everyone else at this point, he would have already taken them off the board. Like they don't really mean shit to him.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that's what's excellent about this.
It's so great.
It really is.
Yeah, so they so they eat, and then we move to the next scene where it's a couple of men walking into like this horse stable place, and they're going to check on a horse that has passed away.
Mm-hmm.
She had given birth and her baby died, so she ended up dying of a broken heart. And as the vet's examining her, he's like, "What is it? Is this a C-section scar?" And the other guy's like, "I don't know anything about that." And he opens it up and he's reaching, and he's like, "Something's in there." And then suddenly we see like a woman's like torso come out
Mm-hmm.
of the horse.
I see. I remember that visual too,
Oh,
but
you
I couldn't put the rest of it together.
Oh yeah, I didn't remember that at all.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, there's a person in there. I know there's a person in there. And it's just like, yeah, like the visual of her, like how she fell out of the body, like stuck in
Yeah,
my mind. But that was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
it was
wild.
wild. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And yep, then the next thing you see, Jack and the crew are, on the scene, and um Hannibal is talking about how, the he agrees like with the pagans that the horse is divine and all this stuff. And
Hmm.
um Jack says that, this kind of mutilation is usually like cult activity. And um and so that they're talking about how, like with how it goes with animal sacrifice and everything.
Hmm.
And um and Hannibal says, well, actually, they mention how, like when an animal is sacrificed, that animal needs to be healthy because the animal's power is transferred to the person performing the sacrifice. And then Hannibal chimes in with, that's why the animal being sacrificed needs to be healthy. Um, and then Zeller goes, this horse was sick, and the victim was actually dead before she was, put into the horse.
Hmm.
She was strangled. And Hannibal says that the horse was like her cocoon, and that, like to keep her in there until she could be transformed. And like being born from the horse is like her new life. It's like a new birth for her.
Hmm.
And Jack is like, what kind of psychology, like what is the thinking behind this? And Hannibal is saying, I can't understand, like I can understand what was done, but I can't understand why the killer did this.
Right.
So that was interesting that Hannibal can't figure this killer out.
Hmm.
um I don't think that's ever happened before until this episode.
I think because this is the only one that's he's not directly responsible to or related to.
Yeah, true.
Because
That
all
is
those
true.
most of those other killings, he had some kind of part in it or manipulated people in some sort of way. Even
Yeah.
the one with the big eye in the silo thing,
Yep.
like he ended up getting his claws into the guy at some point. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is interesting. I do like how they play this one out.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and so he
yeah,
says,
but yeah, you're 100% right. It's kind of fascinating that he couldn't get it.
yeah. And it's interesting that Will is the one to piece this one together without like help from Hannibal at all.
Right.
And yeah, it's interesting, and it kind of makes sense as we get into it. Like we find out, you know, more. We'll get into more of it, but it kind of makes sense why Will figured this one out.
Yep.
But yeah, he says, in order to catch this guy, you're gonna have to, um, find someone who doesn't, think like anyone else.
Hmm.
That's Will.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So, and then, yeah, the next thing we see is a, a woman being attacked, and um, she's like being held, like her face being held down, and it looks like a huge coffee table, which that's also a fish tank thing with a lid on it. And the person attacking her, like she starts to cry, and he like takes a little square of tissue, and he like absorbs the tear and puts it in his drink. And we find out that her name is Margot, and she's one of Hannibal's patients,
Hmm.
and she's in session with him now, and she's talking about how, that she wishes she had killed her brother and all this stuff. And Hannibal is kind of, not kind of, he is encouraging her, like, it would have been more therapeutic if she had killed him. So you can see that he's doing this with other patients. He's psychically driving other patients.
Yeah. 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 We've seen it in the other episodes too. There's certain people he's done the same shit to.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. I do know who. I remember who those characters are. I don't. Do you?
What do you mean by that?
Her and her brother.
I don't know the brother.
I believe this is the one that Gary Oldman plays in the regular in the Hannibal movie, the sequel to
Oh,
Silence of the Lambs.
oh,
Uh,
really?
the one with the pig farm.
Okay.
Yeah, I from what I recollect that that's who. Yeah, she's the sister of that guy because I do remember him specifically in this series. Um, yeah, you'll probably recognize him as soon as you see him. You'll go, oh yeah, I remember this character. But yeah, he's gonna have blonde hair and like the a beige trench coat, like the
Okay,
cashmere
so
trench coat or something. But yeah, he's got a very specific look, the way he acts and stuff too. Yeah, he's a crazy character.
we must meet him what in like episode 11 or something or 10?
I think we're gonna see him in 10. We should.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
yeah, he's a good actor too. They got whoever the hell they picked. He did a good job.
All right, cool. What's up, manliness? Hope you're doing well tonight.
What's up, buddy? Good seeing you.
And yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, because there's some good. There's a good exchange and a great scene between her and Will.
yes. Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, and then after that, it leaves it there. Like these are kind of quick transitions between scenes. So we end with him telling her that it would have been more therapeutic if she had killed her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to Hannibal and Alana having sex, which I didn't expect this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And but so they're laying next to each other after, and she's like, not to complain, but I feel like we're doing this so we don't discuss well. And it's kind of funny because Hannibal says, well, as long as you're not complaining.
Yeah.
So that was a little humorous. I liked that.
That was. But man, every time we see the two of them together, it just irks me.
I know, because it just does not.
Yeah.
They don't fit together.
Nope.
It just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem right. It's just
Yeah.
It's
weird. Like, oh, she's just that stupid. Really.
I know. It's It's just not right.
Yep. I mean, it's that whole thing like, oh, she done Will dirty, all of it. But I still do like that he's playing it cool. He's still very much staying true to his character.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it don't matter at this point. He's like,
Yep.
yeah, I always knew it, bros before hoes. Like,
Yeah.
like that type of way that he's handling it. Because like anyone else, you'd be like, oh, they'd really be bummed out, like and truly hurt by her. But he's keeping to himself.
Yeah, you're right, because I was expecting Will to be pining.
Yeah. On some degree, yeah, he'd have some kind of anger or resentment towards her, but he's like, be careful, I'll kill you.
Yep, you're on your own. I warned you. Good luck.
Like I said, that line I keep using. Godspeed, Spider-Man. And then boom, the glider comes out him right in the gut. Well,
hey, what's up, Toy Mafia?
What's up? Yeah, it's funny stuff though.
Yeah, like just I hate it. I hate their pairing, but that obviously it's not going to last. But the thing is, them not lasting is actually bad for Alana.
Oh, it's horrible for her.
Yeah, so it's
end up on his table.
Yeah. Instead of his bed, goes from his bed to his table.
Right? Not okay.
And then so next we're at the lab, and we find out that the victim's name, the woman that was stuffed inside the horse, her name is Sarah Kraber, and as they're examining the body, they discover that her throat is packed with some soil, and one of them goes to like retrieve some of it, and then like a puff of like dust comes out, and they're like, whoa. And I think it was Zeller who puts his hand on her body, and he's like, whoa, I feel a heartbeat.
Hmm.
And they're like, but she's in rigor mortis, that's impossible.
Yeah.
And so the other one puts his hand on his, and he's like, yeah, I feel a heartbeat too.
Yeah, because he's
And
like, "You crazy," and he's like, "What the hell?"
yeah.
And then
And
Jack.
yeah, so they do they cut in, and then as they like they make the incision, they pull back the ribs, and then a a, a bird flies out,
Hmm.
and it's like, yeah, that was weird, that
Yeah, that was super
crazy.
weird. Yeah, that was nuts.
And but yeah, the way this unfolds, yeah, it's awesome. And then Will goes to the stables, and he recreates the what happened. And he says, I so him doing the recreation thing, in his words, he says, I don't want you to see me, um I don't want you to see me or what I do. And then we see like the horse has this the face covering on. I don't know what they're called, but it basically it blindfolds the horse.
Yeah.
And he says, I want to calm you, comfort you. And he says, there's so much comfort in darkness, but not for one of you. And then we see Will, like when he does these recreation scenes, it's from the killer's point of view. So he injects the horse, which makes, the horse collapse. It,
Hmm.
kills the horse basically. And we see the horse lying down, and then we see him carrying that woman's body to the horse. And he says, I took your life. And then we see next to the horse is that bird in a cage. And he says, and I tried to give it back to you. I, and then he says, I find the womb and place you inside. I hope that the forces of death and biology will bring you rebirth. And then Will comes like out of his recreation mode, and he says, this was like a coffin birth for the woman, um, which happens like if a pregnant woman, it doesn't really have, it's not to happen, it doesn't happen in modern times,
Mm.
but like in old days, like if a pregnant woman died, the built up gases would force um, the child out, and it was like she gave birth in the coffin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's legit. That did, like, that used to happen.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah. And then yeah, he deduces that, whoever did this to the horse, knew that the horse was dying because she had lost her foal and all of that stuff. And that, everybody was known, like the killer knew, what had familiarity with the horse stables. He knew the woman, and that he actually is not, he considers himself a healer. And he says this wasn't murder, it was grief.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was really interesting,
Yeah.
that whole thing. And yeah, so having said all that, next we see Will and Jack visit the home of the person who worked in the stables. His name is Peter Bernardoni.
Hmm.
And as they walk in, you see like caged animals all over the place. Like he bonds with animals,
Yeah.
and we see
He.
that.
That's another really good actor that they picked too for that.
Oh yeah,
He,
fantastic. So
he's like a character actor, but yeah, he's been in big movies too.
yeah, and so we have two characters that were. So the woman that plays Margot, she has been in three of the of yeah, all three of the longest running sci-fi slash like supernatural series: Smallville, Supernatural and X-Files. And
Wait,
so
which chick?
the actor that plays Margot.
The sister to the pig farm guy?
Yep.
Okay. I
Yep.
remember her from, I believe she was in the Freddy versus Jason movie.
Oh, really?
She was
I
the
think you're
brunette.
right, but I can't
Yeah.
remember her actor's name.
Yeah, who she played. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
the character name.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the first times I saw her. But yeah, I seen a couple other things too. Yeah, you're right. They have really solid actors in here. So that's
Yeah.
what I really enjoy about the series.
Yep. So she's in this, um, and then she was in Supernatural, and this guy Peter Bernardoni, the character in this show,
Hmm.
in this episode, was also in Supernatural. So they have two Supernatural alumni in this show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I can't remember which season he was in.
And Millina says Smallville should have been just a midget version of Superman, like the midget western.
Oh shit! I know he played the main villain in when they brought Kratos back in the God of War series, the
Oh,
Viking one.
really?
Yeah, he was the one who was knocking on his door, like the smaller guy with all the tattoos. It was
Hmm.
him. Yeah, they did the motion capture and all that stuff too. It really surprised me because the way he changed his voice, he sounded like another actor completely. I was like, oh
I
shit,
know he does a fantastic job. He
he
was in
really
an
does.
he was in another series that I like a lot, Justified.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'd seen just a couple episodes. I wanted to see the full thing, but never got a chance.
Yeah, I really liked. I actually own that one, but yeah,
Oh,
that's
awesome.
another great show.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And he was also in The Walking Dead.
yep,
That I do
yeah,
remember.
he's been in a lot of stuff.
Ton
He's
of
a good
stuff.
actor.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the actor that plays Peter Bernardoni in this one. And yeah, so we see, he just bonds with animals, and he's got a head injury.
Mhm.
He had been kicked in the head by one of the horses,
Yeah.
when
Like
he
Hodor.
yeah, basically
Hold the
yeah.
door.
Yeah, he's pretty much Hodor. He's
Yeah.
a little more coherent, and he's
Yeah.
a little more there than Hodor, but
Yeah,
yeah.
he can actually hold a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say like he acts awkwardly, like they want to show him a photo of the of what's her name, Sarah Kraber, the victim,
Yeah.
and he kind of like looks away and he holds out his hand, and Will catches it. He catches that he has a head injury,
Hmm.
and before um that Peter Bernardoni says anything, Will says um Will mentions like how long ago did you get your head injury or something like that,
Hmm.
and like he's right on the money. He's like, yeah, I was kicked in the head by the horse like however long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, Will sussed that out. Like he could tell that was head injury,
Hmm.
and that's what I like, because Will had that issue with his encephalitis, so he can see, like he can pick up in other people when there's something
Yeah.
like physical going on.
Hmm. You can tell,
So
yeah, he has more sympathy as well because of that,
yeah,
and he could see how actually fragile and sensitive the guy is. Because anyone else would go, oh, because of how weird he's acting, he must be the killer. Like
yep,
that's the vibe right away. Because Jack is kind of like
yep,
Jack's already leaning in that direction heavy,
yep,
and
Jack,
Will's like, yeah,
yep,
and Will's kind of like steering him away, like, no, not necessarily, because the head injury will give him these weird quirks like that, and
yep,
how he behaved.
yeah, like exactly, yeah. Will can tell right away he's not the one. He didn't. If he did do it, he didn't mean to or
Yeah,
whatever. And but
it was
Will
either
doesn't think.
accidental or
Yeah,
he's not somebody who would do it on purpose.
yep.
Manliness, that was great.
And yeah, so yeah, Jack decides to get a warrant and everything, I mean, because he has to.
Hmm.
And then next we see Will is having a session with Hannibal, and Hannibal is actually talking about rebirth and it's in regards to this latest victim, because it was, the intent behind this latest victim was, a rebirth, like to kind of like save her.
Right.
And yeah, so they're having a conversation about rebirth and all that stuff, and then the conversation evolves, and he asks, he tells Will that, you've been reborn and everything, and he asks Will how it feels to be working with Jack again, because last time it almost destroyed him. And Will's like, no, the last time I worked with Jack, you nearly destroyed me. So I like that he's really pushing back, like he's not holding back. He, he's just like giving it right back to Hannibal. He's like not letting him bullshit.
Yep.
And he actually does go straight up with him. And he says, because Hannibal starts to do that whole, well, after everything that's happened bullshit, and Will stops him, and he's like, no, you may have to pretend, but I don't. And he's like, I don't expect you to admit anything, because you can't, but I prefer sins of omission to outright lies. And he's like, don't lie to me. And Hannibal asks if will return the courtesy, and so they kind of have like this agreement now that they won't lie to each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how. Yeah, like I wouldn't trust that from Hannibal.
Right. Exactly. He really
And
is a psychopath.
yeah, really. And another interesting thing we find out as they're talking is Will says that he discovered a truth about himself, that and actually Hannibal says that doing bad things to bad people makes you feel good. And Will's like, yeah, basically yes. And that's when Hannibal's like, are you gonna try to kill me again? And Will says, I don't want to kill you anymore now that I find you so interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lines that Hannibal would say.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah,
it's
it's now it's intriguing.
Yep. So it's really nice to have Will sit Hannibal down for a change.
Yep.
And
it's excellent. Yeah. It's like right away from what we saw in the last episodes. It's like, wait, where are they going to go with this now? Will's out. He still can't stand him or trust them.
I know.
And the way that they're handling it is really interesting.
Yep.
Especially when we get to 9. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely 9.
It's getting wild.
And next we are at we're at a new crime scene, and there's a bunch of bodies they're being dug up and stuff, and the crew is there, and Zeller goes over to Will and apologizes to him, and Will's like, you don't have to apologize, all the evidence pointed to me. And Zeller was like, well, yeah, I do have to apologize because I thought you were killing, and I didn't take any other evidence into consideration. And he's like, maybe if I did, Beverly would have felt comfortable coming to us, but she didn't. So he's feeling responsible for Beverly.
Yeah, I really did like that scene too.
Yep. And they shake hands.
Good.
Yep.
You could see, there was that good human connection between the characters.
Yes.
And Will, that's why he shook his hand. He accepted him because it's after he said that too, about Beverly.
Yeah.
That's like, okay. He's like, yeah, all right, buddy. Because Will would have just left him hanging there feeling like shit for a while, but because he invoked her, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like you really do mean it, like you're sincere.
Yeah. You could tell, there was. It definitely wasn't the obligatory, hey, sorry, can we still work together? It was definitely it was heartfelt.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Jack comes over and he says, the soil that they found in Sarah Kraber's throat led them here, and there's 15 there's like 16 total graves, and only one of them is empty, and that's where Sarah Kraber's body was. And he says that if Peter Bernardoni knew about Sarah's grave, then he knew about all the others.
Mhm.
So so he's yeah. So he definitely he wants to speak to Peter, but he doesn't suspect Peter. He just thinks that Peter knows, like, he
Something.
could be of more use.
Right.
Yeah. And so next we see Hannibal in session with Margot again, and we just see, like, her talking more about her family, and how her family has forgiven her brother, but we as the audience don't know what her brother has done. We just hear
Right.
her talk about him, like how he's done awful things, and I presume that when she was being, like, held over that table, that was her brother.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't see him, but that's
Hmm. Yeah,
that's
because the
the
very first time we saw her and that happened, like, yeah, her arm is literally in a sling. Right after that scene,
yeah.
and yeah, they definitely, and we hear his voice. Don't we hear his voice?
Yeah, we
Right,
do.
Thanos?
Yep.
Yeah. So like
He
they're
says,
oh, he says what?
yeah, he says, you should have just taken the chocolate, Margot, or something like that. It's
Yeah,
something.
something nasty and condescending, but like that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
odd. Like,
you could tell it's like that, those rich families, like a Rothschild type thing of like how they probably act at home, you know,
yeah,
of like these are complete psychos,
yeah, yeah,
because they have that money and power, they do whatever the hell they want, and even to one another, like you
yep,
get that sense all over the place.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's like we have, like, we're getting these bits and pieces, of, like, what she says, and we just got that scene, and we can't, like, we don't have the whole picture yet.
Hmm.
So it's neat how it's unfolding.
I'm sorry, this is reading manliness is. Oh shit.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yep, pretty much.
That makes you gay.
um
Oh shit.
and yeah, Hannibal is, telling her, he's like, if you can't kill your brother, maybe you have to find someone who will. It's like, wow. And
Yeah, he doesn't pull any punches with how he wants to manipulate these characters.
yeah, it's insane.
Hmm. And she's someone who, yes, she's around this crazy type shit with her brother and everything, but she still has the the brains enough to not be
Mm.
completely manipulated by him.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
she's even kind of questioning, his motives, but she's sort of like playing this game with him too.
Yes.
She's like, "Oh, if you're saying that to me, I wonder how you treat some of your other patients, or, or, what do you, yeah, what do you say to other patients or other people in your personal life?" Like, it's
Yeah.
just something along those lines, and
Yep.
he's like completely stone faced.
Yep.
Yeah, he's something else.
Yeah, I like that. She's um yeah, she's a smart cookie.
Hmm.
Um yeah. And then next thing we see, Will brings that bird that escaped out of um Sarah Kraber's body. He brings it to Peter, cuz Peter had like expressed concern for the bird. And so he brings the bird to Peter, and he's like, asking him more questions and everything like that. And Peter thinks that the bird is speaking to him and stuff. And um, you you can tell that Peter's harmless. Like, you can just tell.
Yeah.
And then Will mentions how almost every society at some point believed that birds carried our souls to the afterlife. And Peter says, "Wait, you think that I think this bird is Sarah?" And he goes, "No, she's gone." And Will says, like, "Tell me who killed her." And so he gets really like scared, and he's like, he's scared of someone,
Hmm.
and he says he doesn't admit he said he admits to putting her body in the horse, and he says like, he says, I wanted you to find me so you could find him. And Will asks him, like, do you have a shadow? Someone you thought that you could trust? And Peter's like scared, like he's scared to say anything.
Yeah.
And he's like, nobody will believe me. And of course, they connect on that level because
Hmm.
Will was in that same position.
Yep.
And Will says, I'll make sure that they do.
Hmm.
And yeah, so they've got this bond forming.
Yeah, I like that he's good with like other damaged and you know wounded people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
that's like a theme with the character, how he connects with other people. It's kind of in a similar boat.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the writing is really good. It makes a lot of sense, and how quickly they trust him.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so Peter has obviously given Will the person's name, because next we see Alana talking to this person who ends up is actually Peter's social worker. And she's questioning him and stuff, and you can just tell by like the look on his face and how in his demeanor that he's a psychopath. Like he exudes it.
Mm-hmm.
um and yeah, like she asks him something, and in the way he answers, she is kind of taken aback, and she's like, that's a surprising lack of empathy toward your patient.
Yeah, yeah. For someone who's a social worker,
Yeah.
he's like yeah, like a cold piece of shit towards them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we see Will, Jack, and Hannibal are on the other side of the mirror, like they're observing, and Will is saying that he's a psychopath, and
Yeah,
Alana.
yeah, because there's something she says that greatly offends him. So then she puts her hand on his hands, and he gets immediately freaked out by it. And you kind of like he's like
Mhm.
sliding back in his chair and pulling his hands away.
Yeah.
It's like she tries to set him at ease like that, and yeah, there is no ease, and that's when I think Will says, yeah, it's like a classic sign of a psychopath. He doesn't want to be touched or anything.
Yeah, that whole empathy thing.
Yeah.
And Melina says social workers are a generally screwed up bunch. I used to be one. All right. So are you still screwed up, or did you used to be screwed up? But yeah, I can imagine the horrors that you guys see as social workers. That yeah,
Mhm. Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it can't be easy. I have a friend who's a nurse, and family members who actually is in Italy. But
Mm.
yeah, recently I was talking to a friend of mine, and yeah, she said that too. She's like, um, yeah, just the patients alone, and the ones like from schizophrenia or dementia and shit like that, and
Mm.
how they treat them, and yeah, just to be around that and in a regular basis has got to be really really hard.
Mm.
Like one of the patients tried to swing at her and then apologize, and then he tried to swing at her again. He's like, "Okay, we're not doing this today, and I'm gonna have to put mittens on you." It's like, yeah, like, yeah, to do that every day has got to be really really rough.
Mm. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I won't say the other stuff on her, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Milliness. I remember you mentioning that before. Like, oh man, I I don't know how you guys can do it. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I know I would definitely, like, that would just do me in.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how he hasn't put on a Punisher shirt and took care of things.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned the hand thing. Yeah, so she asked, like, why did you become a social worker? Like, if you don't really
Hmm.
if he doesn't have the empathy and all that stuff to do it, why did you even become a social worker? And he has this fake like frozen grin on his face, and he's like, the world needs more caring people. And she says, yeah, it also needs it, we also need a few more psychopaths to keep us on our toes. And you can tell that kind of agitates him, because he leans in and he says, there's no evidence that I did this, so I'd like to go home now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack, tells them to let him go, and Will's like, you're making a mistake. And he's like, well, I don't have any evidence to keep him. What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And Will, right next to Hannibal, says that Peter Bernardoni is psychologically disadvantaged. As his social worker, this man is in a position of trust, and he has betrayed that trust.
Yep.
I know what it's like to point at a killer and have nobody listen.
Yep.
And then Jack says, you pointed in the wrong direction. That irritated me when he said that.
When him saying that, that's why I felt to me, because he did it in front of Hannibal. I think they're playing him. I think they're playing Hannibal. I think Will is on. I'm sorry, I believe Jack is on Will's side, but we don't know it yet. I think it's one of those things like they reveal it later. I'm getting that vibe. It's not that I remember. It's just how they were when they were doing the fishing trip.
Yeah.
And then like every time they have interactions in front of Hannibal, it almost makes sense too that Will saying these things like that because he knows Jack has his back, but Hannibal doesn't realize that. So it just looks like classic Will trying to piss him off. That he won't let go of that he knows the truth. I mean, and again, Hannibal's still putting that fake face on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Kind of weird game that they're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do anything, I think, until they can catch him red-handed. Like I'm getting like that kind of vibe. So in the meantime, it's business as usual, and we're keeping a damn close eye on him. The second he slips up, but
yeah. Good point.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing when I first saw it too. I'm like, wait a minute, because the fishing thing jumped in my head. I'm like, they're trying to give us those red herrings.
Yeah.
Which it's good writing though.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, and then so the next thing we see, okay, so this is sad, and the next thing we see, Peter arrives home, and all of his cages are empty, like all of his animals are gone. And he goes into another part of like the barn thing, and his horse is dead. He's been hit with a hammer, and the social worker is there, and he's holding the bloody hammer. And
Pelosi time.
Oh man, like this was horrible. This was awful. And the social worker is saying like, well, I actually, before I get into this, I should preface that in his interview with Alana, we find out that he had like made a file on Peter that has a bunch of lies about Peter, saying like he's unhinged and he could be a danger and all this stuff. He has set Peter up for this moment. And so he starts to like Peter's like crying at his horse. He's like so sad. The dude's like all about his animals, and it's just sad because he's like slow as well. Yep. And it just adds like that extra layer of sadness to it. And
it does. And you see this piece of shit standing over him like that, ready to take him out as well. Yeah. And then put him in that guilty position there so that he'll walk free.
Yeah. He's like putting all these lies like on Peter, saying like,
you killed those 16 poor girls, blah blah blah. He's like, I didn't, you did, I know you did. Like it's ooh.
Yeah. And so we see he's doing that, and he's like, yeah, he's saying you've been expressing a lot of rage lately and all of this stuff. It's just an absolute lie.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then the social worker says, if I killed them, it would be because they were worthy of me. And then Peter looks up at the bloody hammer, and he kind of gets the it looks like the camera shakes, and that's what it did when they first showed him the picture of Sarah Kraber.
Yep.
Because like he has this disability where he can't look and touch at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
like his like neurons misfire or something. So it did that, and that's how that scene and like that ends right there like that. And
Yeah, like that hammer kind of like vibrating. Like
yeah,
we're seeing through his eyes basically, but yeah,
yep,
and it's doing that vibration thing of,
yep,
to show his kind of his disability and whatnot. But yeah, it was crazy because then we get
yeah,
to Will
yes, yes.
showing
And
up.
then Will and Hannibal arrive at Peter's place, and as they walk in, um they see Peter sewing up the horse, and Will is like, Peter, is your social worker in that horse? And Peter says, yes. He just readily says, like, yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking like, he says, I used to have a horrible fear of hurting anything, but he helped me get over that. So we're thinking he killed the social worker and put him in the
Right.
horse,
Mm-hmm.
just like he did with Sarah.
Right. Like the
So
social worker did with Sarah.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and yes, and he's like, it feels so abnormal. And Peter says, like, I think he deserves to die. And Will's like, no, you didn't deserve to kill him, Peter. And then he asks Peter to come with him, and like it
No,
takes
no,
him
no.
in.
Peter goes, I didn't kill him. And Will's
Yeah,
face was like, wait, what? He's in the and then right away we see like the shot of the horse, and you see the stitches in her fingers trying to wiggle it out.
yes, yes, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
because
was really good. That was
the
good
way
stuff.
we find out, because a lot of time has passed, so he takes Will into another part of that, like where all the cages are, and they're talking about, like, why you killed him and stuff like that. And Peter's like, wait, I didn't kill him. And then, so yeah, so the realization that the social worker is in the horse, but he's not dead, is
Hmm.
like, comes over Will, like, he's horrified,
Yeah,
and the look on his face is priceless.
always great. And then yeah,
Yeah.
as we're seeing this guy squeeze himself out like Danny DeVito out of the cushion in the Christmas episode of Always Sunny in Philly. Like he pours out of this thing, he's covered in blood.
It's
He's
also
spit.
like
He's vomiting out stuff.
it's also like Ace Ventura when he
Oh
when he
yeah,
when he comes
yeah,
out of the,
yeah.
what is it,
With the
like the
rhino.
rhino's ass or
Yeah.
something?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. But the guy is clothed though. He has his clothes on. But
Yeah.
and I like
Yeah.
Hannibal's just watching. He's just standing over and watching this because
Yeah.
he's in the room with them.
Yeah, Hannibal's watching, and Hannibal goes, I would crawl back in if you knew it was good for you.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
the social worker goes to grab the hammer, and
Yeah.
as Hannibal says that, his hands are in his pockets and he just kind of sidesteps, and you see Will's pointing the gun straight at him,
Yep.
right behind him, which is awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I like
And
that scene.
yeah, that was fantastic. And he goes, I'm the victim here. And Will says, yeah, he's like, officer, I'm the victim here. And Will says, I'm not an officer, I'm Pete's friend. And the social worker is like, no, Peter's confused. And that triggers Will, because that's what they tried to do to Will,
Yep.
saying, oh yeah, Will's just confused, he doesn't know reality and all this stuff.
Yeah, his scrambling like that too, because when he
Yeah.
said that he was, I'm not an officer, I'm Peter's friend. The
Yeah.
fear that went over the social worker's face was like priceless.
Yes.
Because he's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, no, wait, and
Yep.
he is pleading for his life and shit. And Will goes, pick up the hammer.
Yep.
which was
Yes, the scene was fantastic. Yeah, he's
oh,
telling him
it
pick up
was
the hammer, pick up the hammer, and then Hannibal's like yeah, like he's got the it's a revolver, so he's got the hammer back, and he's like he's ready, and Hannibal's like talking to him was like no that this isn't gonna you're not gonna get the satisfaction you think you are it's not gonna feel like you feel if as if you were killing me like he knows he knows that Will wants to kill the social worker because it would be analogous to him killing Hannibal,
right,
but Hannibal knows that that's not going to satiate him.
right.
And also I think he's still playing with Will's mind, but
Yeah.
Will knows he's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why Will decides, and then actually he does go to pull the trigger,
Mm-hmm.
but Hannibal grabs the gun.
And he has his thumb in between where the
Ye-
hammer is supposed to come down and hit. Like it hit
Yes.
his thumb instead, and Will was ready to do it.
Yes.
And the look on Hannibal's face and what he says too of the sheer surprise, like because he thought like he knew everything in his mind. Like he says very specific words where it's like he's completely even more enamored with Will right now at this
Oh
moment.
yeah, he has a shitting grin. He said, "Okay, so I wrote down the exact words."
Okay.
He says he has this smile, and he goes right up to Will, and he says, "I never could have predicted. I never could have predicted you, Will." And he says, "I can feed the caterpillar, whisper through the chrysalis, but what hatches follows its own nature."
Yes.
Like, wow.
Yeah. Poetic, disturbing,
Yeah.
manipulative, like, but still, yeah. Like I said, very, very beautiful in terms of the character and the story and how they're playing this. And Will is like, he's in another world. You can see it on his face.
Oh yeah.
He still wanted to kill him.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, he was ready.
Yeah.
Absolutely ready.
Because I like even the dialogue they were having in between there, and the guy's begging for his life. And Hannibal just like dismisses the guy, and he's like, "I would shut up if I were you."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's like, this is a real breakthrough in therapy right now.
Yeah. Wow. It was such a wild scene.
It really was, and to see how far Will is like, yeah, he's ready to break again. Yeah, it's something else.
Yep.
Great job.
Yeah, fantastic episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And all right, so we'll get right into episode 9 then.
Okay.
All right, so this episode starts off cool. So it's in like a grayscale. Is it grayscale or is it black and white?
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Will has Hannibal like he's tied up in a tree, and it's similar to how the nurse from the asylum had him like roped up when he was gonna hang him. And yeah, so that's how Will has Hannibal tied up in a tree. Yeah. It's a bit different, but kind of along the same lines.
Yeah, because the way that they were shooting this, it's usually like if it's a flashback or like a dream sequence kind of thing. Like
yeah,
that's usually how like they play out like these kind of black and white or like you say gray tone kind of sequences. But yeah, it does make sense, and it's good how they did this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah. So, yeah, he's tied to the tree, and the ropes are actually connected to a horse, and
a horse, not a whore.
A horse. Horse.
I know it's the accent.
Horse.
I want to speak. The two Utes. What is a Ute? Oh, I'm sorry. Youths.
Youths. Yeah. Well, my mother used to say husses.
Husses?
Yeah. Yeah, really, seriously.
Oh shit.
It was hilarious.
Go right the
Okay.
Huss.
So and she used to say con for corn.
Oh shit.
Corn. So I don't say it right either. But I used to play with her. I used to be like, Ma, say corn on the cob. And she used to say corn, corn on the cob. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Oh shit.
But
That's
yeah.
great.
Okay, so anyway, back to Hannibal. So yeah, the ropes are
No, but
connected
no more about the whores and the cans.
about the husses. Yeah, so the ropes are connected to a horse.
Right.
I didn't.
There you
Horse.
go.
Um and yeah, he's telling Hannibal, like, I want you to admit what you are and everything like that. And Hannibal's like, what, I should denounce my no, I'm not gonna do an entire
Wait, what was that?
Hannibal's like, what, I should denounce myself.
You make yourself crack up, right?
Oh my god. Hannibal's like, should I denounce myself as a monster while you ignore the one that's grown inside you? And yeah, so he's like talking.
Oh, forget about it.
What, I should denounce myself. Okay, we'll go to the rails here.
We're being retarded. Sorry, people.
And so he's talking all kinds of crap, and he goes into this esoteric, like he likes to do, and he's like, nobody can truly know another person unless they love them, and all that shit. And
Yeah.
Will whistles, and the horse moves further forward, and it tightens the rope around Hannibal.
Yeah.
And it's just, we just see the ropes tighten around his waist for that time. And Hannibal's, like, I think Will gets a little closer, and Will starts talking some more, like, bullshit, trying to get into Will's head. And Will steps closer, and he's like, he says, I promise you a reckoning. And he whistles again, and the horse moves forward, and the ropes tighten around Hannibal's neck. And then we see and he gets close up to Hannibal, and then Hannibal is like now he's like
demon thing with the horns.
Yes, he's the demon man with the antlers.
Yep.
And he says, here it is. And then the camera is like behind the tree, and we see the blood splash up in the air in slow motion.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing in color is the blood.
Yeah, which is cool.
That was an awesome scene.
Yep. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Through the Woods stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like the whole sequence in like sepia, and then slowly started bringing it into color. But the first bits of color I was dropping were like the red of the blood, like in the scenes. But yeah, again, it's a really fantastic way of like doing the storytelling aspects.
Yeah.
Really brilliant. But it's part of it too because of what Hannibal's already said to him. Because he's asked him, like, yeah, you still fantasize about killing me, like. Yep. They've had these conversations already, and the answer is yes.
Yeah. So they're both lying to each other still.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was just a fantastic scene.
Yeah, and wake up.
Yeah, and then we see Will wake up, and
punching
then
his sheets and like.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to be real.
I know. It's so yeah, he's back to having nightmares. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen those for a while.
What would you call a night fantasy? Because it's like part fantasy,
a dream,
part. Well, it's part fantasy, part nightmare.
Yeah, it's like a hopeful nightmare, like
a hopeful. Yeah. We gotta write that down for a movie title. Hopeful nightmares.
But yeah, next we see Hannibal is preparing food for Jack. He's like making this liver and eggs thing. Oh God.
Mhm.
And they have this discussion about like memory and stuff, um and Jack uh and then oh yeah, Jack mentions how, he's feeling bad because he let some doubt in, and Hannibal says, like you doubted me, and he's like, no, about Will. And Hannibal says, I can't discuss Will anymore because, treating him now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that was interesting because it was nice to see Jack feel bad about how he treated Will.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. That was
Hopeful
great.
nightmare is sleepaway camp, but she doesn't have a penis at the end. That's a great movie. We have never done that movie. We gotta do that.
I've never seen it.
It's yeah. It's you gotta see it.
Do I
Um,
though?
yeah. Everybody's gotta see it.
I don't know. That end sounds like I don't want to see it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, the next thing we see is we see this like guy. He's a trucker. He's stopped at a gas station. He's walking back to his truck, and we see either something or someone, we don't know at this point,
Mhm.
climb on top of the truck, and the guy is in his truck when this happens, and he's like hearing this on top of a truck, so he gets out to investigate,
Mhm.
and he ends up getting mauled by this whatever it is. We do find out.
Yeah.
We do find out, but
Yeah, and
I'll just
it pulls him onto the roof of the
yeah,
vehicle.
yeah, pulls him onto the roof and
We
mauls
see all
him,
the
and
blood coming down the windshield. Like it was
yes,
good. The directing is always fantastic on these. Kind of like
looked
that kind of
great.
surprise kill, and it's like out of a horror movie completely, like horrific.
Yeah,
Like what the hell was this? Is some kind of beast is like ripped this guy apart?
yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, are they introducing some kind of like,
Supernatural elements. Yeah.
yeah? But yeah, we find out.
Mhm.
And then we see Will is have it. Will is at Hannibal's. He's um in session. He's actually reliving the moment where he almost shot that social worker from the previous episode, and he tells Hannibal that is he regrets like allowing Hannibal to stop him. Like he still wants, like he still wishes he had pulled the trigger.
Mhm.
Um, and um, and then what? Oh yeah, and then so Hannibal is like, all right, close your eyes and imagine a version of events that you don't regret, and then so we see Will imagine, we go back to that scene, and instead of Hannibal stopping him, he actually pulls the trigger and blows the social worker's head off.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't blow his head off, but shoots him
Well,
in the
yeah,
head.
shoots him in the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty violent.
And then, yeah, Hannibal asks, what did you see? And Will goes, a missed opportunity to feel the way I felt when I killed Garrett Jacob
Jacob
Hobbs,
Hobbs. Yeah.
and to feel what I felt when I thought when how does he put it? When I thought I almost killed you.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Hannibal asks, like, well, what does that feel like? And Will says, a quiet sense of power.
Hmm.
And Hannibal's like, good, remember that feeling.
Yeah. The way he says it is very, very
Yep.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like it's important, like to remember that feeling.
Yes. Like he's still trying to drive Will, but I don't think Will can be driven anymore.
Yes and no. Like again, because what happened in the end of that episode? He was going to kill him. You know, that's some gamble.
That is true.
Because you can't necessarily be like, oh, he knew Hannibal was going to stop him. Not necessarily. So yeah, it's yeah, crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's it.
That's,
That is true. That's a good point.
yeah, that's what I mean. It really looks like Will is breaking.
Yeah.
It's slowly and it's in his own way, but it's almost like a Dexter kind of thing. Well, it's like, well, they're bad. They're bad people. They deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which when you try to find justification in that, that's where you're getting into really dangerous territory.
Yeah. It's like this gray area.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves you vulnerable.
Right?
Yeah.
It's getting into the Frank Castle perspective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he is done with his session with Hannibal. He walks out, and outside, Margot is coming in for her session, and she approaches Will. She's like, I've seen or something like that's the same look I have on my face when I'm done with my sessions with Hannibal. Or no, she says Dr. Lecter.
Yeah.
And so like she tries to like have a bit of a conversation
Yeah,
with him.
she's like, yeah, are you his patient as well? Like
Yeah.
you know, pretty strong assumptions, but very
Yeah.
accurate too.
Yep. Yep. And she's like, do I know you? And Will says, I'm the guy that didn't kill all those people.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Margot in session with Hannibal, and they talking about dehumanization and all that stuff, and how that how she does that with her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that it's like a universal trait that people dehumanize others.
Mm-hmm.
um it's an odd conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But she mentions that she met Will Graham outside, and this is where she says, I can only imagine what kind of psychologist you are to him, seeing as how you're so supportive of me killing my brother. I can only imagine what you're like with your other patients. What kind of a psychiatrist are you?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you've seen my credentials and all that, you know what kind of a psychiatrist I am. And she says, yeah, I'm beginning to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that she's got some
Yeah,
smarts.
she's flirting with danger. We're being
Mm,
very brazen with him.
yeah.
You know, slightly fearless, but at the same time, it's like because what she's going through with her brother is like, you know, you got to be strong for all that. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to the character for sure. But
Yep.
I don't think she realizes, you know, how dangerous he truly is.
Yep. And then we see Jack and the crew at the crime scene, that truck stop place. And they talk about that it looks like some kind of animal attack, but they can't really figure out, like they toss out like maybe a bear or a wolf, but it doesn't really fit, and so they can't really figure it out. And Jack mentions like there's the recent livestock mutilations and all of that, and he's like, that must have been practice. And Will says like the person is urbanizing his animal or something like that, and that
Mm-hmm.
he'll kill again.
Yeah, like he's training this animal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so Will takes like the animal um teeth illustrations and photos of like the um the mutilation. He takes those photos to Peter Bernardoni
Mm-hmm.
from the previous episode, who is now like he's got a prison suit on.
Yeah. Yeah, because
um
the one thing that stands out too with the conversation about the mutilated bodies is they're saying that nothing was taken. They haven't been like necessarily like mauled and eaten. It was just like, yeah, like they were just ripped apart.
yes.
Animals eat the meat, they eat the flesh, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and they don't. and like I can't remember who it was, but they said like they'll kill and then they'll take their kill somewhere else to eat it, but this one was just left there mauled.
Right.
So yeah, they can't figure out
Mhm.
what kind of creature would do
You
that.
could do that, yeah.
Yeah. So Will, knowing that Peter is an animal person, takes those photos and stuff to him and asks, what kind of animal is responsible for this type of attack, and and he's like, is a wolf, is it a bear, and Peter is like, and Peter has a pet rat
Mhm.
that he named Kevin, which I think is adorable.
I
Um,
that had to be the actor himself wanting that.
oh, you think so?
Yeah, because for what I understand in some of the behind the scenes I've seen on like what he did with the Kratos stuff, he's a little bit eccentric like that. But
Oh, cool.
like he knows the character, so I wouldn't be surprised. I can't say definitively, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted that in the scene. But it works. It makes sense.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
great.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so he's like he's looking over the pictures and everything, and he says, you know, he's like bear, wolf, they can be trained to hunt as either one or together.
Mhm.
And Peter's like, please, try not to blame the animals. And and then he says, man is the only creature that kills just to kill.
Mhm.
And then it cuts to a scene where there's like a
Well,
workbench.
well, it's how he says it too. That Will's like he stops and he's like, "Oh shit! How did I not think of? How did I not put that together?"
Mm,
Like he
yep,
has that epiphany kind of moment in his face when Peter says it to him.
yep,
We're the only animal who just kills to kill.
yep,
But oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, we see like the workbench and
yep,
yeah, somebody's working on something.
yeah, the workbench, and we see like the animal skulls and tools and all this stuff, and we see like someone working on like some kind of jaw, and then it's like um he's working on like this thing is a mask that can be worn,
Hmm.
and um and then we see uh a there's a couple, a guy and a girl in a snowy field at a campfire, and there's a man watching, and he's wearing this like animal mask, and he like runs over and he attacks them. Well, he attacks the guy first, and then the girl is running,
Right.
and it's all in slow motion, which makes it even cooler.
Hmm.
And then like the girl falls in the snow and everything, and then he ends up getting her. But it's awesome the way it plays out. I love when they do that in slow
Hmm.
motion.
Yeah. Yeah, because like he built the whole thing. It's not just the mask itself. Like he's got
Yeah.
like claws,
Yep.
like this whole like rib cage uh, kind of getup thing that he has on. Like he really thinks like he's some kind of prehistoric kind of like cat or bear or something like that. Like yeah, it's really cool how they did it. But what I do like too is like they're not showing you it 100% definitively.
Mhm.
It's kind of like in pieces or in
Yep.
fast movements, which is smart. That for something like that, I prefer that they do it like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
leave some mystery and something to play around with there too.
Mhm.
Because something like that, if you just sort of crystal clear, it might look pretty goofy, but how they did it works.
Yeah, it's clever, like yeah, because it's hidden. He's kind of like in the shadows because
Hmm.
it's at night. I forgot to mention that, but yeah,
Yep.
so he's kind of like he's got the darkness like to cover any kind of flaws in the design.
Hmm.
So it's actually clever
It
how
is.
they did that.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Because like the headpiece too that he has, like
Mhm.
he has like straps to it. So like the
Yeah.
back of it, like that's where his head's going into it, and he's almost like seeing out of the mouth part that
Yes.
protrudes forward again, like a like a saber toothed cat or a bear, like one of those old kind of bears
Yep.
from thousands of years ago. Like very very specific. Like the way they did it was good. Very
Yes.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, looked great.
Hmm.
And yeah. So yeah, okay. So the next thing we see, the crew is on the scene, and Will does his recreation thing,
Hmm.
and Will as the killer is now watching from the wooded area, and that giant stag that we keep seeing throughout the series is standing beside him, and he says kill, and the stag runs over and attacks the couple,
Hmm.
and then like we see like as if you're the victim looking up, and it looks like it's Will with antlers on. It looks
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. He's taking a bite out of the guy, and like you see his head whipping up and back, and blood's all over his face, and
Yeah.
like he is this creature.
Yes, yes. And that's when Will figures out it's not an animal, it's actually a man,
Hmm.
as like a man, like who wants to
Who-
be an animal.
Yeah.
And he's figuring out like it's someone who knows how to build and stuff like that, like could be an engineer.
Right.
Um and that, he created this beast and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um so then Hannibal and Will are talking about this latest kill, and uh, Hannibal says a quote by Plutarch, a old Greek philosopher, and he says, "No beast is more savage than man when possessed with power answerable to his own rage." And Will says, "But this isn't rage. This, that takes emotion. This is more like instinct."
Hmm.
And and yeah,
Yeah,
so
because
they,
he's disregarding them. He's like they don't
yeah,
mean anything. He doesn't
yeah,
know them. Yeah, he doesn't know them personally.
yeah.
It's not a vengeance thing.
Yep.
It's
Yep. It's
just
just
like
a
yeah,
savage attack.
yep.
Yep. Like that's it. That's like, yeah, he doesn't keep that, like, yeah, no, there's no like souvenirs, there's
Hmm.
no it's just totally different.
Yep.
And yeah, there's no emotion, just a savage beast. Um hmm, um then what? Yeah, okay, so then they discuss um that
Does
the kill
well is it Jack and Hannibal that have a conversation, or there's something before that?
uh
Because they can't really find because they go this guy doesn't really he might not have any kind of past that we know about because
oh yeah,
he's gonna be a loner.
yeah,
Um,
yep,
he's gonna try
that,
to keep to himself. You know.
yep, that's yeah, okay, so yeah, they're at the lab, and
Because they're
yeah,
trying to
they're
do this
trying to
profile and they can't. Yeah, they're not
yeah,
sure what they're gonna find or how they're gonna find them at this point.
yeah, because they have a skull of a cave, like an old cave bear,
Hmm.
and a skull of a dire wolf, and they're like um the like it's like the biting force of one, but um the pattern of the other, but like neither of them match. And Jack is like, well, what could have done this? And one of them says like pneumatics and stuff like that, basically saying like this was man-made.
Hmm.
And yeah, then Hannibal shows up, and Jack is asking him like what kind of a person does this, like what is the psychology here? And Hannibal says that like, yeah, he asks him like how does this present, and Hannibal says could present as depression, schizophrenia, or nothing at all. And and then that's when he tells Jack that he once treated a patient who believed he was an animal born in a human body.
Hmm.
And so they talk briefly about that, and he says that now that he's grown, he has the wisdom and confidence that he no longer needs to hide his needs. And Jack says, what are his needs, and Hannibal says savagery,
Mm-hmm.
basically to become the beast.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because that's yeah. When Hannibal treated him, apparently he was like around 13 or something,
yep,
and it took a lot to get him to even say what the hell his problem was. So
yep,
yeah, yeah,
yep,
yeah, it's good how they did this one.
yeah. We find out something interesting about how Hannibal treated him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then we are at the Museum of Natural History, and Hannibal pays a visit to this person
Mm-hmm.
that's who used to be his patient. His name, we find out his name is Randall, and he's there alone. And Hannibal, they're talking, and and
Yeah, because he kind of comes out of the shadows like we're close,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Hannibal kind of introduces himself, and the kid's like, I haven't seen you in years, like
mm-hmm,
kind of shocked that he's even there. And,
yep,
and and Hannibal does tell him. He goes, "I know what you've been doing. What have I been doing?" Like the kid's. He's going into a weird place in his head. You could see.
yep. And Hannibal says, "You'll always be ruled by your fascination with teeth." And Randall says, "That's what you said to me the first time I was in your office."
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of get the sense right there that Hannibal.
Planted
So
the seed.
yeah, absolutely, or at
Mm-hmm.
least like watered it and helped it grow, because
Yep.
like a psychiatrist should be helping him, like
Steer away from it, not steer into it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And hello, Oslaz, no problem. Glad you're here.
Hey, welcome.
um, but yeah, yeah. So we see that they have history, and it's interesting that Hannibal knew where to find him as well. It's almost like he had been keeping tabs on him,
Yeah.
because he says that you're no longer the crying little boy, you know. That no, he says that the crying little boy doesn't cling to your teeth anymore, and 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 he says, what does cling to your teeth? And Randall says, bits of scalp, hair trailing like comets. And Hannibal says, beautiful, like he just
Mm-hmm.
like wants to inject that into his veins, like he loves that picture.
Yep.
It's so sickening.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And yeah, and he further manipulates them because
Mm-hmm.
he does tell him, like, he goes, they know they're coming for you, and he's like,
Yep.
he goes, I don't want you to stop.
Yep.
He goes, but they're gonna come for you, and when they do, this is what you need to tell them. You have to listen very carefully, and he's
Yep.
coaching him on how to get out of his situation.
Yeah. He's like, do exactly as I say, but we don't know what he tells him, because it
Right.
cuts away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Will and Jack go to speak to him at the museum. And Jack is questioning him, and Randall's saying, like, he's been treated, and all that stuff, and that he used to have an identity disorder, but he's doing much better. And
Taking his medicines and
yeah, he's painting a picture like he's
yeah,
totally fine
yeah.
now.
I'm being social.
Yep, all the good stuff. He's saying all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
he's checking off all the boxes for him.
Yep. And then, interesting, later that night, Margot pays a visit to Will, and he's like, "How did you find me?" And she's like, "Well, turns out that, like, how did she put it? Like, you're kind of famous or something like that."
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, so she's like, "Do you have any whiskey?" So he invites her in, and they have a
Yeah,
drink.
yeah, because he says her name directly too or something.
Yep.
And she's like, "Well, how do you know that? Did you peek into his ledger?" And she goes, "That's exactly what I did."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's like, yeah, he goes, so why is the heir to the Virgin meat packing industry at my door? And yeah, she's like, well, actually, my brother is the heir.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then they're talking, and she asks him what he thinks of electrotherapy, and he says, well, it depends on what you're in therapy for. And and she's like, oh well, just the slaughter of like all the cows and pigs and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And she said, and I tried to kill my brother, and Will says, I'm sure he had it coming.
Yeah.
And she goes, boy, did he ever. And then she asks Will, what is your private carnage? And he's like, I tried to kill Dr. Lecter. And she's kind of like fascinated by this. And she's like, did he have it coming? And Will says,
What do
I
you think?
can't say.
Oh, I thought he said. Oh, was it? I think is. What do
Yeah.
you? I thought it was something along those lines.
Yeah. Like he should have said, boy, did he ever,
Yeah.
like how she answered. But no, he's like, I can't say, kind of like, like, like they know they don't have to say it. Like she,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then yeah, they basically she wants to, she's comparing the notes, and
Mm-hmm.
that Lecter was encouraging it.
Yep.
She
Yep.
was did he encourage what did he say, something along those lines too? It was what did he, I don't think he encouraged what you were going to do. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they had some kind of like witty kind of back and forth
Yeah.
regarding that as well.
Yeah. She says, well, I'm sure you didn't get the same advice on murder that he gave me. And he's like, well, what did he tell you? And she says, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much the advice that Will is getting.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
But yeah, so then we see Will is having his session with Lecter, and he's like, he goes to Lecter. He says, I wonder what it would be like if all of your patients just started comparing notes.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then he tells Hannibal that he says, your psychiatrist came to see me at the hospital, and she said that she believed me. And Hannibal is irritated by this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The
like,
face he puts on.
yes, it's fantastic because he goes, fascinating. Like,
Mhm.
but he's not fascinated by it. He's very
Yeah,
irritated by
because
it.
he puts on a like the tiniest of grins, and at the same time drops it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Like it's so subtle, that kind of look where, and it's like you see his you can see it in his mind. He's just calculating how am I going to find her and kill her. Like that's the sense that you get immediately on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. That,
Yeah, because the last
yeah.
time we saw her, she got away. She literally said, "Don't come to my house anymore" or nothing. And when he showed up, she had packed everything up and just left the bottle of perfume for him.
Yes.
And he was kind of like, he smiled a bit.
Yep.
But yeah, he had no idea that she went to Will. So
No.
that does
I
not sit well with him.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Like that's a massive betrayal to Hannibal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That's yeah.
it was good. But as we can see, Will is he's hitting his buttons.
Yep.
But yeah, and yeah, after he says we about comparing notes with his other patients,
Mm-hmm.
he mentions that the Randall guy, and Hannibal goes, oh, maybe you should tell him in person or something,
Yeah. Yeah, like you should have a
face to
you
face.
should have a personal conversation with Randall
Hmm.
and all that stuff. Like he doesn't want to have any more, like he wants Hannibal out of his office at that point.
Or he wants Will out of his office.
That will, yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, he's like, yeah, not
Yeah,
happy.
no, he's not.
And yeah, and then the last scene of this, what a scene.
Hmm.
So we see Randall is, suiting up with his beast suit, and um Hannibal is next to him, and they're like in the woods.
In the
uh
snowy area, yeah.
yep,
Yeah, they're
outside
in
of,
these by these trees, and
yep,
as we see them look down like this little valley, we see it's actually Will's house that they're
yep,
looking at.
yeah. And yeah, he's telling Randall that, you're becoming your true self, revel in what you are. And he's he's encouraging him. He's like telling him, you go
He's
for
not
it.
just encouraging him. He's building him up to go do what I'm telling you to do.
Yep. And the dogs are barking like crazy inside the house, and so Will opens the door, and one of his dogs, Buster, it flies out like towards the property line where the woods are,
Yep.
And Will goes and he's like calling for Buster, but Buster's taking off, and then next
And
thing we hear is
I
kind of like,
like that it's always the smallest dog because it is always the smallest dog that acts the bravest.
yeah, I know, Buster. And then we just hear kind of like a whimper, like a kind of a yelp thing. And so Will goes in, grabs his shotgun, and starts like heading out quickly to where Buster ran off to.
Mhm.
Um and then he finds Buster lying on the ground, and he's got like some blood on it, on like his side,
Mhm.
or yes, somewhere on him. And he picks him up, and he starts running back to the house. And as he's running behind him, we can see someone like chasing after. We can see Randall.
Mhm.
Well, I should say we can't really see Randall, but we know it's Randall chasing after Will.
Yeah.
Um,
It's kind of like a little bit like through his eyes, kind of. We're getting
yeah,
like the motion thing. We're not seeing crystal clear what's going on.
yeah, yeah. We know what's happened. We just
Yeah,
can't
yeah. That
see it.
he's like hot in his tail kind of thing.
Yep. And Will gets in the house. He shuts all the lights off, and then he just waits there. Then all of a sudden, Randall jumps in through the picture window,
Yeah, and slow
and
motion.
yep, yep, slow motion, um, and then
Will
that's
he's not even turning his head. Like we're seeing like they crash through the window, and you could see like the cavity, that big rib cage thing, the hands, like it's mostly kind of silhouetted, but how he's busting through, and like Will is still like looking forward. So yeah, that's the last scene that we see right there. It cuts at that moment,
yep,
so we don't see him landing through and what exactly transpired from that point.
yeah, that's right. It just cut. Yeah, it just cuts, and next thing we see is Hannibal getting home,
Mhm.
and then he stops in his dining room,
Yeah, he
and
opens those sliding double doors, and we just see the
yep,
look from Hannibal's face
yes,
of complete shock.
yep. And then we see Randall's body on the table, and Will standing at the other end of the table.
Hmm.
And Will says, well, I guess that makes us even. I send someone to kill you, you send someone to kill me. Even, Steven? And Hannibal nods, and that's it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, fine. Even the score. Can this like be done now?
right. Yeah, I sent somebody to kill you. You just sent somebody to kill me. Here he is. We're good.
We're good now. We Gucci.
Holy
And
shit.
Oslas has some stuff to say about Margot and Will's um,
Mhm.
talk. So he says, I love how when Margot and Will talk, they both kind of know that Hannibal is sus. Like therapists don't do that, and obviously Margot doesn't know quite as much as Will does.
Mhm.
But she's still very aware that Hannibal is pushing her to do something that would obviously not be recommended normally.
Right.
Yep. And then like she's not just thinking, yeah, I should kill him and my therapist gets in, stuff like that. She's thinking, no, I shouldn't kill him objectively,
Mhm.
and my therapist seems to be on board anyway, and I'll take it. Yeah. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, she definitely understands, like, yeah, like my therapist is crazy. Like she can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
See, he's crazier than my brother.
Oh yes, I agree. So yeah, Osla says the reveal of Will killing Randall is one of my favorite moments. Like not only the fact that he did it, but him presenting it to Hannibal like, Jesus, can we be done? Yeah, and it's almost like when a cat like comes in with like a mouse from hunting, and
Mhm.
it presents it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, you proud of me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like
that's the thing too. He gave him that body is sprawled out on his dining room table,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
platter,
yeah,
you know,
like here's your dinner for the next month.
or yeah, or an offering of peace to the
Yep,
gods.
yep.
Yeah, it's wild.
Very, very symbolic. That
Oh yeah, symbolic, poetic, all that stuff. Like
yeah,
it's wild how they did this. It makes perfect sense too.
I the I cannot say it enough. The writing in this is absolutely phenomenal.
Top notch.
Um,
Because that's the thing, is it has that psychological edge that most shows don't.
yeah,
Like, there's a lot of shows that are very well written, and they'll get into the mindset of the characters, but because this is someone who's supposed to be, a psychologist on top of it,
hmm
psychiatric stuff, and we're dealing with mental disorders, and then we're getting into the psyche of these people, and then the profiling aspect of it. So you have to have these certain pictures painted of these individuals who are doing these horrific crimes, like, because of those elements that are peppered in here. Like, they have to get really smart with the writing, and it's masterfully done.
yeah,
So good.
yeah. It's fantastic. The just everything about this show is so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I'm so happy we've been covering it.
Hmm Yeah, for sure.
I, you know how much I was itching. I'm like, just all I gotta do is hit one button, change the next. I'm like, no, I had to shut off everything. Nope, shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
I know. I know. It's awesome though doing it like this because it especially not remembering the episodes. It's awesome. It's like we're getting these episodes weekly like they just came out again.
Oh yeah, it really is. Getting two at a time like that is excellent.
Yeah. Yes, it very bingeable.
Oh, for sure, because every episode connects.
Yeah.
So it's just like in one really long movie.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
well done. But yeah, that concludes episodes 8 and 9, and yeah, I absolutely love these episodes, and I can't believe we're this close to the end already.
I know. Is it wait?
Crazy.
Is it 12 episodes or 13?
13 per season.
Okay.
Yep. So next week will be 10
Okay.
and 11. And
Perfect.
then,
I mean, 12 and 13.
yep.
Shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, I know.
I
It's
know.
crazy. Like, we're this close, and
I
like,
know.
we already know how it ends, and like, we're this close, and it feels like so far away from that.
And there's still so much story to be told too.
Yeah.
Plenty more twists and turns.
Yep.
But like I said too, on top of this, then over on my channel, starting this Sunday, we're doing a watch party on Dexter. We're going to start the first episode.
Oh, we're starting that this weekend, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
You down for it?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do it like we did Primal. So we'll just, because it's, an hour episode, like, we'll just do one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just kind of do it like that and give people a chance who haven't seen it, a chance to watch along. But yeah, because I know Slasher, like, I know he's going to like it if he just gives it a chance, especially with some of the other movies he's been watching and stuff on, like, the Saturdays. But it's, again, one of those series where we are going into a mind of broken people like that, these psychos. But again, with Dexter, he was like, he's a psycho with a purpose, and he was geared that way. He was
Yep.
molded to be used as a weapon against evil. And then, like, kind of what plays out from that point. It's brilliant stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on my channel.
Yep.
Vinny Art.
Yep, Vinny Art here on YouTube. His link is in the description. And yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Manliness says he'll probably have to work. No problem.
All right.
Yeah, sorry that you had to work though. But yeah, so had a lot of fun reviewing these episodes with you. Um if you want, let people know what you got going on. I mean, I know you already mentioned for Sunday, but go ahead and tell them what else is going on.
Yeah, got plenty of projects. Yeah, if you guys are looking for again for some awesome comic books and cool stuff like that, art books, my campaigns are out there right now. If you haven't seen them yet, yeah, go ahead, go check them out. I know I gotta update my link tree thing. That's for sure. But because I know I'm missing the Mela Art World thing, like my YouTube channel over there. I have two different ones. One's going to be strictly artwork, and the Vinny art that I use primarily. That's my main one. That one's going to keep going. Let me go to a Kraken here. One sec. But,
Yeah, let's put your other links in the
yeah,
chat too.
yeah. I dropped it in the private.
All right.
So if you want to, you can show that. But yeah, like I said, we got really cool projects out there. I was actually going to show you a time lapse, but yeah, here's what the campaign looks like. If you guys didn't see it last week, there we go. Here's the shot of the Kraken one. And again, all the books ship out immediately. So yeah, if you're into really cool stuff, this is a pirate story with a lot of twists and turns, action, betrayal, treasure, everything you need out of horrific moments too. Everything you need out of a traditional pirate story. But yet, I do have a cool twist on this one. And yeah, again, you'll know from the beginning. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of really crazy and interesting stuff that we see right from the get-go. And I'm kind of breaking down a little bit of like how these pirates are kind of surviving. So like I do introduce the characters. The lead, he's he's a former British soldier who goes into the pirate business, as it were. But what else he's doing too. So it's almost like he has a slight Robin Hood kind of aspect to him where he wants to just primarily take from the British. But in the process, they've been saving lives. They've been freeing slaves. And the ones that they have, like they've kind of almost set up like a little kind of island and a compound for them in a way. But like the character's growing something more until again some other crazy events happen. We have the mystery of this skull that has a map that's carved into it that's also coded. So like you can't necessarily just by looking at it, you won't know exactly where the hell it would take you. You'd have to do a little extra research and figure out what the hell is like. They got to break the code in order to find the maps of where it's leading to. But plenty of awesome stuff. So yeah, and we do have the ghost story through the woods also available on this campaign. This is a completed story, 100 pages. So jump on that if you haven't yet. And again, if you're into any of that kind of cool stuff, spookiness and fun, a little bit of a mystery, a murder mystery actually in there. But yeah, lots of awesome stuff and a very satisfying and gratifying ending to that book. That's for sure. But no, the characters aren't fully done either, by the way. Like because I have a connecting universe, you'll see more of them coming up. And yeah, there is also something that's going to happen later down the road with some of these characters. So keep an eye on everything for sure. You're going to want to invest in my projects, and yeah, I think you can have a good time. So I think I talked enough about that part. But let me see if I could pull this up real quick too. Shoot, where the hell did it go? I should have been more prepared. My apologies. Gotta find the folder. There's the folder. Is he gonna respond? Oh god damn it! All right, never mind. I'll show this another time. It's literally opening up a different program. So my bad.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So where is a good place to find all of your stuff? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you could go to Twitter. Everything's linked on there. My link tree's there. All that great stuff. In fact, let me drop my link tree for you in here. Copy. So I get a little scattered brain at times when I'm working, and then we were talking about this. So yeah, I put it in the private. So if you want to drop it in,
Yep, got it.
there you go. Ooh, this didn't save properly. What the hell? Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on some stuff. Oh boy, that's upsetting.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so that and okay, so this link will connect them to everything, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I got to tack on the drawing YouTube channel. I that's on me though. I got to update that one. But yeah, Mellow Art World is the art one on YouTube. So
All right, awesome.
You guys will have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. This stuff is great. Check it all out. And yeah, as usual, thank you so much for being here and doing this with me, Vinny. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. It's so much fun. And yeah, all of you guys in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And anybody catching on the replay, thank you as well. And all right. Sounds good, Oslaz. We'll see you next week. And yeah, next Wednesday, 8 p.m., we will be doing episodes 10 and 11. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and this Sunday we're starting Dexter on my channel. So
Yep.
8 p.m.
This Sunday, 8 p.m. on at Vinny Art here on YouTube. That'll be fun. That's Eastern time, if I didn't mention that.
Yep.
And yeah, all right, everybody, have a great. Oh, the toy stream, the collectible past.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we got so much we'll be talking about too on that because the Toy Fair stuff happened too. So yeah, I'm sure between me, Tommy, you, Adam, and Slasher, there's going to be probably a cornucopia of figures to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, awesome. We've got collectible past, which shows on Vinny Art at Vinny Art here on YouTube, and also Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective here on YouTube. It shows on both of their channels at oh God, what time is it again? 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow. And yeah, those are always fun. But yeah, other than that, everybody have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you next week.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.